Hi everybody, this is Julie with Book of Hours. I have the microphone really close to my face, so I'll try not to talk too loud. And of course it's raining in San Francisco again. And I'm just walking. Cubby! Say hi, Cubby! I wanted to talk about Rule-19. So yesterday, Elizabeth Warren took to the Senate floor and wanted to write a letter that was written, she wanted to read a letter that was written in 1986. It was written by Correta Scott King, who is Dr. Martin Luther King's wife. And the letter was written to Strom Thurmgood in 1986. And basically the letter was a criticism and concern over Jeff Sessions. Currently, Jeff Sessions is being considered for Attorney General here in the United States. So in opposition to that consideration, Elizabeth Warren took to the Senate floor to read this letter from Dr. Martin Luther King's wife. While she was beginning to read the letter, Mitch McConnell interrupted her and said, and requested that she be excused and removed from the Senate floor because of her violation. Sorry about that. Barking at mailman. Sorry. Because of her violation of Rule 19. And Rule 19 is basically says that one senator is not allowed to speak ill of another on the Senate floor or something like that. So I decided to read a little bit about the rule itself this morning. And Rule 19 is over a century old. So it's over 100 years old. And it was written because of a fist fight that broke out on the Senate floor. You know, back when our senators and our the people that actually ran our country had some balls. So they incorporated this rule into the rules of the Senate floor, which was based on this fist fight that broke out. So when Mitch McConnell interrupted Elizabeth Warren when she was in the middle of reading this letter, or trying to start to read this letter, I don't even think she got one sentence in, she immediately just packed up her stuff and said, "Oh, okay, I'll just go ahead and read it in the hallway." And then she did a live Facebook feed, and the Hill covered it, and she read the letter to the citizenry, online, so that we could all see her protest of Jeff Sessions. And that's that. And then the media just took off with the story and said, "Oh my goodness, what a racist jerk Mitch McConnell is for not allowing her to read this letter, this important historical letter that was written by written by the wife of one of the most historical figures that our country has ever seen." And they really showed this outrage, which I totally agree with. Mitch McConnell and Jeff Sessions are pretty tight, and you are measured by the company you keep. So Jeff Sessions is a deplorable racist. He's a disgusting human being. I mean, he was a proud member of the KKK, so I'm totally against his position, as Attorney General. But I think that when you're dealing with the type of legislation or the type of cabinet that we're looking at, we're not looking at, again, like JP and I said yesterday in Takeover, we're not looking at your normal, by the way, there is so much construction going on in San Francisco. It's insane. This city is just is just being overtaken by the 1%. Anyway, so you're not dealing with the full deck. You're dealing with people that are insane. You're dealing with people that they all fall on the spectrum somehow, and there's just no talking any kind of logic with them. So when one of them comes up and says, I need you to be quiet because you are in violation of this particular rule, then you look at that rule and you respond sort of in kind, okay? I never thought I'd say this, but I think Mitch McConnell is one of the more sane of the crazy cabinet picks that Trump has picked. You know, Mitch McConnell still sits in his position, and he's sort of like the old school Republican, where they're definitely assholes, but they're not like insane. Okay, so if I were Elizabeth Warren, this is what I would have done. I would have said, okay, well, I see what you're saying, that this thing that I did where I spoke ill of Jeff Sessions back like 3 weeks ago and on the Senate floor and all this when I was in the middle of protesting his possible position. Sorry, I'm crossing the street. It's traffic too, so I have to be careful, and I have my dog with me, so I would have said, well, Rule 19 was written over a century ago, so let's look at it for what it really is, and let's look at it in the spirit that it was written. In the spirit that it was written to basically break up a fist fight. Okay, so if you're going to get technical and tedious with me, then allow me to get technical and tedious with you in response. So let's look at it. Let's look at the rule in the spirit that it was actually written. It was written basically to break up a fist fight. And nowhere did Elizabeth Warren ever try to punch Jeff Sessions out. Okay? If you want to get tedious and technical and petty, then let's get tedious and technical and petty, right? Furthermore, Rule 19 was written, again, over a century ago, back when women could not hold senatorial positions. So once again, we're dealing with a technicality that she didn't even, like, respond. Now, it may have made her look stupid, you know, it may have made her look petty, but I think that on the face of it, it would have been an appropriate petty response to a petty technicality. So women were not allowed to hold senatorial positions a century ago. So when the Rule 19 was written, it would have been completely moot because, you know, Elizabeth Warren is a woman. So I know that sounds really, really petty and simple-minded, but this is what we're dealing with. Like, you can't just allow these insane, malignant, you know, supporters of the KKK to just run roughshod over you like this. You have to start fighting, you know, fighting petty fire with petty fire, right? So I think that when she gave it up so quickly, that was really disturbing to me. You know, it's like, if I were her, I would have said, yeah, but Rule 19 was written over 100 years ago to break up a fucking fist fight, and it was written before women could even hold senatorial positions. You can take your fucking outdated, antiquated, arcane Rule 19 and you can shove it up your ass, and I'm going to read this letter. Because I don't want someone who is a member of the KKK to be an attorney general. Fuck off. No. Okay, that's what my response would have been. Minus the expletives, minus the swearing. I probably would have been removed anyway. But God, at least it would have shown that she had some, you know, some balls. Because the thing about Elizabeth Warren is that she's known for being sort of outspoken, right? She's known for being that Democrat that just kind of keeps pushing pushing her beliefs, which are similar to Bernie Sanders' beliefs. So anyway, Bernie Sanders had to pick up the letter and come to the rescue of a woman and read the letter, and everybody's like, oh, thank you, Bernie, you saved us once again. Whereas Elizabeth Warren had every opportunity to stand up for herself. She had every opportunity to really say something about the rule itself and throw it back in the face of Mitch McConnell, a misogynist, chauvinistic, racist asshole. You know? So I think that, the Democratic Party, man, they have just lost their teeth. They have lost their edge. And this is a perfect example. Because now everybody's saying, oh, it's a racist issue. It's a racist issue. Mitch McConnell is a racist. He didn't let Elizabeth Warren read the letter from, Correta Scott King. And that's terrible because he's a racist. It's like, yeah, we get that. We know that. Of course we know that. So that means that the pressure was on her to be even more, to push back a little more. So basically, she let them just roughshod all over her in that moment. She had to walk out of the Senate floor, walk off the Senate floor like a meek little mouse. And that was really disturbing to see. Not so much that Mitch McConnell is a racist, which we already know, and Jeff Sessions is a racist, which we've known for decades. That's not the reason why I'm upset. I'm upset because she allowed them to take a super petty technical rule that was ultimately meant to break up a fistfight to silence her. So that tells me that we're not dealing with a full deck here. Okay, that's really all I have to say about that. I am out.